you're going to be wrong 80% of the time. So just know that.
All right, let's talk about the other birds. The Baltimore Ravens, a team with a better future, yes, but it's just as murky at times. When you think about what the decisions this team is going to have to make soon about Lamar Jackson, whether or not to extend him and all of that, those decisions are coming. But for this offseason, what is their main concern?
The main concern is that you've got a lot of unhappy players or free agents, and you're going to have a lot of turnover. And you got your two best pass rushers are free agents.
Yes.
Guys, and then you got glue guys that are like Tyus Bowser. I mean, Tyus Bowser played half the snaps for this team last year. And I keep hearing they're going to make a run at high-end free agents. Like they're going to make a run at Kenny Galladay. Mm-hmm. That doesn't make any sense to me. Do you get that? Because I don't.
I mean, I can see. I think that's the thing that makes the most sense.
I think it makes the least sense.
If they're going to be in the market in free agency, that would be the one thing that they would be going after. As a wide receiver.
But why? Why? That would be like me buying a race car.
You got to give Lamar Jackson another
shift, and I own a fucking Maserati. No, that doesn't make any sense. You have a quarterback that can't throw, and you have a high-end elite quarterback.
But you have to give him.
What sense does that make?
You have to give him better weapons to throw too. Just because
he can't throw.
Yes,
it doesn't.
he can.
No, he can't.
Oh my God!
No,
this is a guy who led the fucking league in touchdown passes. He can throw. If he can get the ball close to them. If he can get the ball close to the receiver, give him damn good receivers that are going to go get it.
Yep, you just said the Cam Newton theory. That's exactly what you just gave me.
Yeah, because you're stuck with
You're going to have to pay Kenny Galladay $70 million. You're paying for a receiver that your quarterback is going to have to get it close to. Mm-hmm. That's a recipe for disaster. And I'll be honest with you, if I'm Kenny Galladay, I'm not tying myself to damn Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. Under any circumstances.
No, I'm not saying he should.
Lamar Jackson's the most inaccurate quarterback beyond 20 yards in NFL history.
Okay.
That's a stat. I didn't make that up.
Right.
You can find that. The most off-target quarterback in NFL history beyond 20 yards.
Well, the only option they have to improve their passing game
is to replace their quarterback. You're right. They have one great option. Stop running Lamar Jackson.
But they can't do that.
Or just steer into it and run the fucking veer. Go sign Aaron Jones and run the triple option.
No, they can't they can't do that. The only way to improve the passing game, Lamar is what he is. You have to get somebody there that can get the ball. And so when you hear them talked about, Chris Godwin.
Terrible idea.
Why?
I think I just said that, but all right, let me phrase it slightly different. Chris Godwin's even worse because Chris Godwin's he's a decent blocker, but he's not big. Mm-hmm. Kenny Galladay's at least a gigantic human being. I look at Chris Godwin, who is a slot receiver, and you have to be more what when throwing to slot receivers?
Accurate.
Yeah, that'd be like buying a Maserati and you can't drive stick shift. It doesn't make any sense. It makes zero sense to me.
But he's better in the short field than what he's got right now. And so if he's off, like the shorter passes to Chris Godwin could be.
He could also end his life. That would be more what I'm afraid of. Is that his life? He could actually die.
That's a risk he takes stepping on the football field.
Yeah, it's a risk you take when you have an inaccurate quarterback that'll leave you hung out like a week's wash to get demolished by a linebacker.
Uh-huh.
Do you know who the leading receiver of the Baltimore Ravens was last year?
Was it Willie Snead?
Nope.
Mark?
Nope.
Then I'm out.
It was Marquise Brown. That was the leading receiver of the Baltimore Ravens last year. He had 700 yards. Wow. 758 or something like that.
Wow.
769. I was close.
I mean, wow. And I thought he had a horrible year. That's why I didn't.
58.
That's why I didn't say his name because I knew his stats weren't great.
He had 58 catches.
Yeah.
And the reason he's the leading receiver is because he's a little fast guy that can get behind the line. And it doesn't matter if you're accurate. He's so damn fast that if he gets open, you can underthrow him by 20 yards. That's fine. Mm-hmm. He's 10 yards behind the defense. But you wind up with a guy like Kenny Galladay. The beauty of Kenny Galladay is that Stafford had a huge arm. And you could leverage out a corner one-on-one, and Galladay can box him out like a basketball player and go get the ball. I don't trust Lamar Jackson can throw that. I don't. If you're going to stick with him, and I know this is not going to be a popular take because a lot of people like Lamar Jackson. I just so happen to not be one of them. If you're going to stick with this, you have to steer more into the skid. You have to know we have one deep threat that is infuriating. That's all you got. He's not going to randomly throw for 1,400 yards to Kenny Galladay. It's not going to happen. This is a running quarterback. Okay. Spending what little money you have, and they don't have a ton. I mean, they've got, what, $18 million?
$18 million.
That's with 2 of the 4 best edge rushers on the market as free agents. If you franchise either one, you are now back to net even. And you have 25 free agents? Like half your team is a free agent.
Right.
You get into this depth problem. I've said this for an extended period of time with the Ravens. You're getting to this point where you're incredibly damn top heavy. Do you know how many players they have right now that make over $10 million?
8.
That their cap number is over $10 million?
8 or 9.
It's 5.
Really?
Here are the guys that don't. Orlando Brown, Mark Andrews, Marquise Brown, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Queen. Let's just that's 5. Right. That's 5 whose salary is going to double within the next 2 years.
True.
Yeah, go spend on Kenny Galladay. See how that works out for you. This is one of the best drafting teams in the league. But ever since Ozzie Newsome left, they have skewed away from that. Orlando Brown was a great pick. Yeah, guess what? You're going to have to trade him because he's pissed and wants to be a left tackle. And you'll get a king's ransom for him. But you better hit on those picks. I can see Jacksonville giving up their second first-rounder and then some for Orlando Brown because they need a left tackle, and you're not going to get one at, 25? You're not going to get one there. Give that up for Orlando Brown. Let the Ravens take it. Add some depth. Steer into the skid of what Lamar Jackson can do. It's the only way you're going to be a long-term competitive team.
Okay.
Because you're stuck with Lamar Jackson. If you let him walk, you'll get crucified.
Absolutely.
Which is why I would never draft a quarterback that I didn't believe in. Because you might screw up and he might just be just good enough that you can't move on.
And that's what...
Baker Mayfielding. No, exactly. Baker Mayfielding is doing shitty commercials during a game you're getting smacked.
So this is Lamar Jackson.
This is Lamar Jacksoning. Yeah.
Yeah. If they did go after anybody in free agency, I still believe they would be in the market for a wide receiver, but I think you got bigger problems at home. You have to, to me, you have to let loose Judon and Ngakoue and try to focus on building blocks. Because I just don't think the money is there.
I'm franchising one of them personally, and it would be Ngakoue.
I mean, he would be the cheaper option.
Which is weird to me. Because I think he's the better player. I don't think he fits in that system. I think he's very good in a 4-3 front. Ngakoue is one of the guys that I think the Jets would be the most after. Because we switched to a 4-3. And that's... Ngakoue's a rarer talent in that he's an edge rusher that is equipped to be in a 4-3. I never liked him in Baltimore. And I can tell you, Stephen Tao is a huge Baltimore fan, and he has said the exact same thing to me multiple times. He never fit here. So I would probably franchise in Ngakoue and try to reap some more value because they need depth. They're killed depth-wise, especially when they start paying these guys. You have to be able to pay your own guys. You can't let Mark Andrews walk out the door as long as Lamar Jackson's your quarterback. That's his favorite receiver by 10 miles. You know why? He's a big guy. I don't have to be super accurate with Mark Andrews. He's a big dude that's going to go into the middle and is willing to take that hit and is willing to take that pop. It's the same exact reason that he liked Nick Boyle and he liked, it'll come to me. Used to be a pitcher, played for South Carolina, plays for the Falcons now. Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, Hayden Hurst. I love these
Same
little trails your mind goes on.
Yeah, his hair actually is the first thing I usually think of. To me, you steer into the skid.
Yeah.
Because right now you have a tight end that you could be running as a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
He's that nimble for a guy that size.
Absolutely.
But you tip yourself. To me, their offense is so predictable, it's pathetic. Lamar's so fast that if you're not built to stop him, you can't. But then you get in the playoffs where every team is good and every defense is fast, and away you go. Do you know that Lamar Jackson started 37 games in his career?
Okay.
He hasn't thrown 1,000 passes yet. Wow. He averages 20 passes a game.
Mm-hmm.
That's non-sustainable. Wait a minute, I did the math wrong. 25. He averages just under 25 a game.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot to carried the one.
Right.
That's not sustainable. You got guys like Brady that are throwing 35, 40 times a game.
Mm-hmm.
This is not 1976. You're not going to win long term that way. And I'm going to keep beating that drum until either Lamar Jackson's out of the league or retires.
Right. The good thing for the Baltimore Ravens is that they do have options to get some assets. They get those assets. This is a franchise that usually capitalizes in the draft. They draft really, really well, don't they?
They did with Ozzie Newsome.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's Eric DaCosta, who I do believe in, but you've lost so many guys. I mean, Joe Douglas was a scout in this system. There's like 6 GMs that worked in Baltimore at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You've lost a ton of talent. And I'm not saying that they draft poorly. They're still one of the better drafting teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be hitting it at that Ozzie Newsome rate right now. And they just, how do I say this? Baltimore used to be the team that you saw in front of you and you went, son of a bitch, they're going to take the guy I want, the guy that's fallen. But in the since Ozzie's been gone, it's been a lot of Hayden Hurst and Jaylon Ferguson and Miles Boykin and J.K. Dobbins and Justin Madubuike. All guys that are fine. You're just not necessarily hitting the Ronnie Stanley, wow, it's been a minute. It's actually been longer than I thought. You're not hitting the Zadarius Smiths. Shit, that's hard to say.
Yeah.
The way that you used to. And that's what you need to be doing now.
Like we're gonna
Darren Waller, that's another guy they took in the 6th round.
Right.
Ozzie Newsome was unfreaking believable.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I'm saying is this is a franchise that I trust to do something smart with the assets that they are going to bring in.
I do
and
too.
they have a lot, and like I said, like we have established here, they have a lot of options, whether it be franchising one of these elite edge rushers that they have, or whether it be, excuse me. I forgot. I lost my train of thought on that one.
You coughed and forgot what you were going to say?
I forgot what I was friggin' saying, so I apologize for that. I'm going to hit my reset button now. And the Baltimore Ravens, but what's your prediction? Season prediction for them?
Next year, 9-7.
Really?
I don't think they're the best team in their own division. Everybody else thinks they are. I don't. I think Cleveland's got one more year, or got a year of being the king of this division.
Mm-hmm.
Before they have to pay Baker.
I don't see this team being any worse than 11-5.
Oh, it's hard to set a record when you don't know what the schedule looks like. And I'll tell you, theirs is kind of daunting looking. If you just look at who they have to play.
Right. I would take them against most teams in the NFL, though. I still think that they're right outside the top tier of teams in the NFL.
All right, before the offseason happens, this team has no money. You tell me if they're better than this team or no. Buffalo Bills.
No.
Not close to me. Miami Dolphins.
No.
Tennessee Titans.
Yes.
I would say yes on that one too. Indianapolis Colts.
No.
Cleveland Browns.
No.
There you go.
Eh.
I didn't even get to the AFC West, by the way. And
Right.
There's 2 in the AFC West that I like better than them.
Okay.
So you're talking about a fringe playoff team. You're talking about a fringe playoff team that's getting ready to have to pay everybody or reset the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Orlando Browns the first. You're going to have a lot of them.
time to hit the reset button.
Patrick Holt believes that Mark Andrews is going to be moving. I don't, because I think he's a top 5 in the NFL tight end with Lamar Jackson. I think he'd be lucky to be in the top half without him. Mm-hmm. He needs a quarterback that is really in love with his tight end. I love Mark Andrews. That's a guy that was on the 6 to midnight list 3 years ago. I liked him coming out. He has flaws. He has flaws that pander directly to Lamar Jackson. But you got a ton of guys to pay. I think the decline of the Ravens is going to be aggressive about 5 months after they pay Lamar Jackson. And they're gonna.
I agree with you, because I think they're stuck.
They're in NFL purgatory. They're in the worst place you can possibly be.
Because nobody's going to have the balls.
And they've been good for so long, and nobody has the balls to come out and say, you shouldn't do this.
Right.
It's a bad idea.
Right.
You pay Lamar Jackson like an elite quarterback, and he's not. You're fucked by the fickle finger of fate as long as that deal's a thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they can trade him.
Lamar?
Maybe they can find somebody that'll take him
I'm
on.
sure a lot of teams are lining up to have a quarterback that can't throw.
Maybe that's what they're hoping too. Anybody interested? Let's start these rumors. Does anybody want Lamar Jackson? All right, that's going to do it for us here in the Sportsocracy. Follow, like, and share the Sportsocracy on all of the social medias. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene. We'll see you this afternoon on ESPN Asheville 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. The Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene every weekday afternoon at 3. Live from the Wicked Weed Studio, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. See you this afternoon.